Well, hi. So moving on to week 7 in our leadership and nursing issues and policy course, we're going to shift our attention. First of all, it was extremely important to set kind of the foundation and talk about how policies are brought to the attention of legislators, so the agenda setting piece, then designed and what key instruments and considerations in design, and then looking at the response that legislation might, that the government might take. So, the idea of legislation, so the policies become enacted into law, and then the important role of regulation, usually stemming from a legislative action. So something is a law, but then we need rules and regulations about it. We've talked a little bit about that for instance, for the end of life referendum, the initiative that the voters in Colorado enacted, but needs now to become kind of fleshed out and explained in terms of rules and regulations. So those are all really key foundational kind of pieces. But now we're going to kind of go to the idea of implementation. And one of the key parts of implementation, of course, is the money. So the economics and the influence of economics on the situation. So I know that the course schedule does list that we're going to practice elevator speeches, but since we were able to do that in class, I'm going to go ahead and just skip that in the discussion and kind of move on to the finance issue. So I posted a question about how ACA has impacted financing of healthcare for kind of two vulnerable groups, mothers and children, and then on the other end, elder care, chronic illness care. So you think of an example or find an article that talks a little bit about that and contrast the whole thing of fee-for-service, which was kind of our own model, and then the idea of outcome value-based care. So, we'll look forward to hearing about that in the discussion. Wanted to recap a couple of course things and then also the discussion from last week about regulation, because you've done a great job of addressing those 5 kind of key issues that I mentioned in terms of regulation: APRN, RN, CE or no CE, and then the thing about a consensus model or some sort of interstate compact about APRN practice, which we have for RN practice. Not every state belongs, but most do, many, the majority, but we don't yet have that for APRN practice. And so we had some great discussion about the issues of that are confronted there, challenges in going across states. And then also the CE issue: should we not have CE? If we do have CE, what are the requirements? Our states, and as you've mentioned, many states do have specific requirements for the types of CE or the topics covered, or they make a CE determination based on the nurse's area of practice. So, there's just tremendous variability among the 50 states in that regard. So that's kind of an interesting discussion, comparison. Many of you have worked across states, and so we're well aware of these sort of differences. But in APRN practice, we have, you add to that the dimension of prescriptive authority. So, it really is an interesting issue and worth our discussion. Done a really good job discussing all of those things. And also finally contrasting the Board of Nursing and the Nursing Association and kind of what their different purposes are, the kind of things that are inherent in the functions of those two sort of entities, the membership, that kind of thing, the kind of things that they do. So good job. I hope that's helped you get a feel for the whole area of regulation and how important that is to our practice. And then finally, a couple of things. I posted some information about the cost management analysis project. So it was there, but it was sort of buried, didn't get in as prominent a place, and it wasn't under assignments, which is where I thought that kind of information was sort of housed. So it's instead in a course module. So if you click on module and go down about, I think after week 6, roundabout, then you will see the information for the cost analysis project. The assignments area also has information about the project, but for some reason I just can't seem to post the examples and the sites for looking at poster templates and that kind of thing. I can't seem to move it. So anyway, it's in course modules, and it's a specific module about the course management analysis. And you'll see templates, you'll see a couple of websites that you could go to look at additional information. There's a little information about writing an abstract that I think you'll find helpful. So anyway, kind of peruse that area and that will be helpful. And also, as I mentioned in the announcement, that we're going to have to push the abstract deadline back just a little bit, because the abstracts are due for research day a little sooner. They're due before spring break, right before spring break. So we need to push that abstract, the draft of the abstract, back so that I can give you a little feedback. So we'll make it due early that week instead of at the end of that week. So the end of the week would have been March 12th, but I think we need to go ahead and have it due on the 6th. And of course, and I'll turn it around and get it back to you, it's just about 250 words in general, so I'll be able to read those quickly and give you feedback. Earlier is always great, so if you and your group can get it to me sooner, that would be terrific. So, hopefully all the things that you'll need for that assignment are, and to get to that point in the assignment are there. Then I'll turn the abstract around, then you'll work on the actual poster presentation. I'll give you feedback on that, and then we'll all be ready for April 6th, or in the case of not presenting at Research Day, we'll be ready to present to your colleagues on the discussion. So we'll kind of do a little of both. It'd be great for those of you who can do the Research Day. I think you'll find it a really good experience. So that, hopefully we'll answer those questions. And then there's also, as I mentioned, the information about Lobby Day and security at the Capitol. I'll make a place, and I'll send that announcement out during the week that we can meet up ahead of time, and then also optionally that you could also meet up for lunch. And we probably couldn't all go to the same place for lunch, but maybe meet and just sort of see how the day's going, that kind of thing. And then people can kind of split off their number of kind of fast food and okay restaurants around the Capitol area. So that's kind of the plan. Or you can bring your lunch and eat on the steps. I think people do that as well. So that's kind of the plan for the next couple of weeks. I look really forward to meeting you at Lobby Day and to our discussion this week about financing of healthcare. So take good care. Hope you have a good week.